It's September, it's hurricane season. We just experienced a 20-minute downpour and now the sun is out and blazing. So I can guarantee if we went out there, the humidity would just knock you out. So if you're new to our channel, we moved here 4 years ago. We used to live in a suburb of St. Louis, Missouri, the heart of the Midwest. Home of the Arch, home of Ted Drew's frozen custard and Emo's pizza. While there's so many things that we love about Charleston, South Carolina, there's a lot of things that we didn't really think about or consider when we decided to move here. And now that we've been here a while, I can confidently say that there's some things that I don't like, that I miss about Missouri. It's just getting to be that time of year when you're just starting to kind of, you want your pumpkins, you want your cozy sweaters, you want your hay ride, like your hay, what am I trying to say, hay wagons. Hay rides, wagon rides, all those things, bonfires. And in hurricane season, it's just really hard to connect with that like we could in Missouri. I just really started thinking maybe I'll do a video about the top 5 things that I miss about Missouri. If you currently live in the Midwest and you're considering moving down to the South, this video might be for you. Okay, I'm going to start with number 1, and that's going to be driving. I think that's the very first thing that Tim and I noticed when we moved here. Traffic is just, it's terrible. And I think everywhere in the country, if you live in a city, a major city, you're going to say, oh, traffic is the worst here. And you might be right. However, it's just something that Tim and I didn't factor in whenever we moved here. For instance, if we wanted to go somewhere 10 miles down the road in Missouri, we could assume it would probably take about 10 to 15 minutes to get there depending on time of day. Here, 10 miles down the road will easily take you 30 minutes. I don't think that you can get anywhere from our house in less than 30 minutes unless you're literally going down one stoplight to the grocery store. Anywhere else, Target, downtown, beach, all those things, it will take you 30 minutes plus, depending on time of day, again, all of that stuff. Traffic is just a nightmare. There's so many people that love Charleston that have also decided to move here that the city is just compacted. The thing that we didn't realize is that there's only one major interstate that goes in and out of the city, and that's I-26. Rush hour in the morning, rush hour in the evening, tourist season, that interstate, it's gridlocked. You're just stuck unless you decide to take like a side road, which is going to take you probably even longer because there's a lot of waterways, and so they can't really just like put roads anywhere. Another thing that I like and I don't like, I can't say I don't like it because it's charming. The streets downtown in Charleston are very narrow. Parking is tight. And I understand why. Charleston is a very historic town. It's a very old city. And so when they created these roadways and everything, they're just smaller. Everything was smaller back in the day. But when I'm trying to navigate down there and I'm driving Tim's big old honking truck and I'm trying to make a right turn and the tire hits the curb, it's not easy. And like everywhere you go, you either have to park in the street or you have to find a parking garage somewhere to park in and then walk to where you want to go. It's not terrible in my Jeep, but again, when I'm driving Tim's truck, it's not easy. Especially those parking garages. They're just so tight. Whenever we visit Missouri and go back and we're driving around over there and just go into the store or go into wherever we're going, I catch myself just looking at Tim and saying, this is just so nice. Like, we're just like driving down the road. Like, there's no traffic. We know exactly where we're going. We know exactly how long it's going to take to get there. It's just easy. And I miss the simplicity of driving. Number 2, the next thing I miss about Missouri is rural Missouri. The greater St. Louis area is made up of downtown, you have your city, you have your North County, your South County, and your West County. And then beyond that, you have rural Missouri. And if you're going across the river, you have Illinois. What I'm going to talk about is not technically Missouri, but it's in the greater St. Louis area, so I'm counting it. One of the things that I quickly realized we couldn't find when we moved here are U-pick farms. They're not the same. They're just not the same. If you live in Missouri, in the greater St. Louis area, you know about Eckert's. You know about the Millstadt farm and the Belleville farm. And every year around this time, We would go get on a wagon and they'd haul you out to the orchards and you could go and pick your apples and pay for them by the pound. I've literally been doing that since I was like a baby. I don't know, 1 or 2. Every single September we would go and do this. You could eat your apples off the tree, you could put them in your bag and take them back with you and then pay for them, and then they would have all of the like carnival things like the funnel cakes and the apple pies and apple cider. They'd have pig races, they'd have, oh my gosh, depending on the farm you went to, they would have like a kids area with carnival rides set up, like one of those big pillow things that you can bounce on, like kids and adults just like jump around on it. It was just something I always looked forward to in September, and I really miss that. I really want to take Story there now, and there is nothing like that around here. And I'm assuming it's because you just can't grow apples the same way here. I don't really know. The strawberry, like you pick strawberries. There's Boone's Hall that's kind of like downtown Charleston, but we went there this year, and I don't know if it was just this year, but by the time we got there, the farms were closed. Like you couldn't pick anything. You just had to like go to the fair, the festival, and then just buy them in the carton or the bushel. We couldn't pick them. It just isn't the same. I'm glad that they have something here, but like I miss getting on the tractor, sitting in the hay and rolling up to the orchards and having the guy in the overalls jump off the back and say, on your left you got your Honey Crisp, on your right you got your Golden Delicious. You can pick this row, and this row, and over here you can pick this row and that row. And then everybody would just scatter with their little bags, and then they would come back to the tractor after like 20-30 minutes and they'd have pounds and pounds of apples. And then you'd take them back and pay for them and then enjoy the rest of the day. Eckert's also did like Christmas trees. They did pumpkins, so they'd roll you out there too for pumpkins in the field. You'd get your pumpkin, take it back with you. It was just a whole experience, and I really miss that. There's just nothing like that here. The first year we went to the pumpkin patch here, we literally parked and got out, and then you cross this little bridge and then you're there. Like that's the patch. It's literally a short white picket fence that they've blocked off, and then they just put the pumpkins in the middle. And then you walk through there and you pick which one you want. It's not a field. You don't go through the field. You just pick the one you want off the floor. Okay, the third thing that I miss about Missouri is a little bit controversial. I guess you can just call this Italian food, because it's 3 things that I miss in this category that I can't find here. I'm wearing my Emo's t-shirt right now because that's the first thing. It's Emo's Pizza. It's the square beyond compare. It's the thin crust pizza with the sweet marinara and the melty Provel cheese on top. And if you love it, you love it. And if you hate it, you just really hate it. You think it tastes like a cracker with some sauce on it, right? But we grew up eating it all the time and we love it. And whenever we were cut off when we moved here, it was like, what did we just do? What did we do? We need to go back. We miss it so much. I remember whenever I was pregnant and I had like just days before I was gonna deliver Story, and my mom was coming into town to be with us, and she brought me a half-baked Emo's Pizza. And when she pulled in the driveway, I had the oven preheated, ready to go. I put that pizza in and I sat there and I ate it before I even hugged her and said hi. It was so good. And every time we go back to visit, we always have to get Emo's. Now, the other thing that I'm gonna mention, Emo's also sells, but it's also something that is on every starter menu in St. Louis, and it's toasted ravioli. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a piece of ravioli, and they deep fry it in like a crunchy batter. So you get them in ground beef or cheese. Most places have ground beef. Some places are nice enough to carry cheese as well, and that's what I like. And they just do not have that here. When we moved here, we asked somebody at the grocery store, like, do you know where we could possibly get some toasted ravioli? And he looked at us like we had 3 heads. He was like, what is that? So we had to explain it to him, and he's like, honestly, I've never heard of anything like that. It's not that revolutionary. It's pasta deep fried. They don't have that here. A year or 2 ago, we walked into Aldi and we were walking past the freezer section, and there was a box of Mama Cozy toasted raviolis in there. And I crap you not, we bought every box that they had and we filled our freezer, and Tim was so happy. Because that's like one of his favorite things. When we go to Missouri, he'll order an order of 50 and he'll just sit there and eat them like chips. And then the other thing is the sweet Italian bread. I have yet to find a deli or any kind of sub place in Charleston that has this sweet bread. It's just Italian bread, but it has the slightest bit of sweetness to it. There's a place in St. Louis called Pischetti's, and then there's another place called Pomodoro's. Those are the two main places that I know that sell this kind of bread in particular. And you can just get garlic bread, or they do like a cinnamon bread, and it's all using this sweet Italian bread, and it's so good. If you're in St. Louis and you want to send me a frozen loaf overnight, FedEx, I will love you forever. Moving on to number 4, and that is the St. Louis Zoo, the best zoo in the country. It sits right in the middle of Forest Park. It's 90 acres of exhibits. It's 12,000 different animal species, I believe. They attract 3 million visitors a year. 3 million. That's huge. They have really fun events too. They've got things like adult nights. They have, I'm gonna get the names wrong, but it's like Fright Night or Boo at the Zoo or something like that, where they have Halloween themed exhibits and things like lights, and the kids can trick or treat and all that. They also have the, oh my gosh, I don't know what it's called, but it's the Christmas event where it's the same kind of concept where they put lights all over everything and you walk through, and they have hot cocoa and cookies and kettle corn and things like that. It's just a really great zoo. I was saying it sits in the middle of Forest Park. We used to go and park at the boathouse and have a little bite to eat, maybe a cocktail, and then walk over to the zoo. It was just not even a mile, maybe a mile or less, and then go walk around the zoo. You could spend all day there, or you can spend a couple hours there. They've got the sea lion show, the like polar bear exhibit. They have a brand new ape exhibit where you can walk around through these trails, and then they have these nets and things that go over the top in the canopy of the trees. The big thing about the St. Louis Zoo is that it's free. Now there's things that you do have to pay for at the zoo. So they have like a stingray feeding situation. You have to pay like $2 or $3, I think, to do that. And then they've got a carousel that you can ride, and then a train that takes you around to a few different stations. It's not a lot. It's a couple dollars for each thing. Or you can get a wristband that's like, it saves you some money. If you're going to be there all day and make it a whole event, then it's smart to do that. But everything else is free. The closest zoo to us here in Charleston is the one in Columbia, and it's about an hour and a half to an hour 45 minutes away, again depending on traffic and time of year, but it costs money, and it's like $20, and that's after a military discount. It's $21.99, I believe, and then military saves you $2. Seniors, I think, are the same rate as military, and then kids are $19, so you're saving $1 for kids. Even Story 3 and up, it's $19. I'm pretty sure they have a membership too, but it's like $115 or something like that, and then you got to pay for parking on top of it. And when it's an hour and a half away, I don't know if that's worth it. I just don't think that's worth it for us. We've honestly never been, so I can't even tell you if it's worth it. Don't even take my word, because it may be great, but we don't know. We've never taken the drive to go. Story is still 3, and so it just, with her nap schedule, it's up to this point, it's been hard to really do things that are too far away from home. So maybe that'll be something that we try to do in the next year or two, is do a day trip and go up there and, drive home in the afternoon. We'll have to see. I'm going to give it a try. I'm not hating on it. It's just that when you're used to the best zoo in the country and it's free and it was 10-15 minutes from your house, it's hard to not have that anymore. Especially when you have a child. When we moved here, we were child free, but now that we have Story and she's getting to that age where she wants to do more and explore, we're looking for things like that to do, and it just would have been great to be in Missouri and have that as an option for us. So I miss it. Okay, the 5th and final thing that I miss about Missouri is Major League Baseball. There's 2 teams in Missouri. There's the American League, Royals in Kansas City, and then there's the National League, the Cardinals in St. Louis. And this is what I grew up listening to. I can hear, to this day, the sound of Jack Buck announcing the game. I can smell the smell of the stadium, the peanut shells on the ground, and the beer, the smell of the yeasty beer. The stadium wasn't too far from the brewery, and you could always smell the hops driving into downtown. And then you get your nachos with your spicy cheese sauce. Everybody else ate hot dogs, and I didn't eat the hot dogs, but just the smell of all of those things combined sounds disgusting, but it really triggers memories for me, and I miss that feeling. I miss the feeling of going and sitting in the stands and hardly paying attention to the game and just doing the wave in the stands and all those fun little things that they do. They don't have major league teams here in Charleston. They have a minor league team called the River Dogs, and I think it's an affiliate of the Tampa Bay. Oh my gosh, I don't even know. Tampa Bay. What's the Tampa Bay baseball team? Oh God. baseball people are gonna like hate mail me. We've personally never been to one of those games, and I think that we should go. I want to give it a try. I know it's not gonna be the same at all, because if you know St. Louis sports, then you know there is nothing that compares. You'll notice I had on a St. Louis Blues jersey right before I started talking about the Cardinals. And it's the same way when you go to one of their games. When you go to the Kiel Center, Scottrade / what is it called now? Enterprise Center? Is that what it is? When you go there and you watch the Blues, it's the same feeling you get with the fans. There's just a lot of sportsmanship and pride, and everybody is just ecstatic to be there. And usually 3 or 4 beers in by the time the first period starts. I do miss it. It's something that we used to do a lot. It's one of those things that you really enjoyed but you didn't quite appreciate until you don't have that anymore, or just don't go anymore, or you go to something that's of lesser value and you're like, wow, this is not the Blues or Cardinals. We have gone to a hockey game here. I want to say it's the Stingrays is what the team is called. It was okay. I went to 1 game. I don't need to go to any more. I think Tim enjoyed it more than anything. So that's that. That's my 5 things that I miss most about Missouri. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. I really, really miss these things. And like I said in the beginning, I love Charleston so much, and there's so many things here that you cannot get in Missouri. And I wouldn't trade those things, but I think our vacations have just flip-flopped. When we lived in Missouri, we would vacation here in the summer and go to the beach and go to, somewhere sunny and warm. And now that we live somewhere sunny and warm all the time, our vacations are primarily going to be in the fall. And we're going to go back to Missouri and try to experience some of these things that we miss. So I hope you enjoyed my list. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with the things that I miss, or is there something that I'm not thinking of that you miss about Missouri? As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Let's go Blues!